Hey, what's going on, guys? Back for another one. It's your host, Lifestyle Amazin, also known as Richie Skillz. Welcome to the Amazing Skillz Football Podcast. We're going to get into week 11 here. I did an episode earlier in the week about pickups, and now we're going to talk about some guys you can start, some guys that are risky, some guys that are dynamic and been playing very well lately. So let's get into it. I got my quarterback. Justin of the Los Angeles Chargers going up against the Green Bay Packers. I think that he's a risky play this week. We know that he could be dominant, but this game, I don't think that he's going to be as productive as he has been in past weeks, especially with the injury to Keenan Allen and him having to rely on Quentin Johnson. I think he's a risky play this week. Then we got Justin Fields is coming back of the Chicago Bears going up against the Detroit Lions. We know the Lions have a decent defense, but I think that Justin Fields has the talent to succeed, and we don't know if he'll be the quarterback next year, but he's a guy that you can definitely probably put in your lineup this week. Then we got Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions going up against the Chicago Bears. We know Jared Goff has a lot of talent around him. He's going to get St. Brown and Laporta involved. He's a guy that I'm definitely starting against the Bears, who haven't had great defense all year. Then we got a guy that played very good last week, but he's a guy that I'm not looking to start. He's a guy that I may not even be looking to roster, and that is Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers going up against the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers have given up points, but they can still get to the quarterback, and Love is not experienced enough to have a big game in this one. A guy who's been playing like a superhero, has been playing very on a high level, and that's Joshua Dobbs of the Minnesota Vikings going up against the Denver Broncos, where the Broncos haven't really looked that great on defense this year. So I think that Dobbs is a must start for sure. Guy who just came back from his injury. I talked about him as well. He has a lot of talent, and that is Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals going up against the Houston Texans. Now, that game could be a possible shootout. Murray looks like he's back on track. He's always been a top-tier quarterback, so he's a guy I'm looking to start. Geno Smith of the Seattle Seahawks going up against the Los Angeles Rams. I don't think Smith is consistent enough, so I think this is a guy that I'm definitely benching this week because I don't trust enough to put in my lineup. There's probably better options out there. Then we got Russell Wilson of the Denver Broncos going up against the Minnesota Vikings. I know that game could also be a shootout. Russell Wilson probably will play pretty good today. I don't think that he's going to be an amazing player today, but he's a guy that I think that you can start comfortably this week or confidently. A guy coming back from injury is Matthew Stafford of the Los Angeles Rams going up against the Seattle Seahawks. We know the Seahawks have a pretty decent defense, so Stafford is a very risky play this week for me, and I would look for other options if I had the choice. And then we got Brock Purdy of the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Tampa Bay Bucks defense. We know Purdy has talent around him, but I don't think that he's going to have a great week this week, even though I think he is a good quarterback. He's a guy that I'm looking to maybe fade this week, or running backs. And this is a guy that actually played good behind his number one running back last week, and that is Rico Dow of the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Carolina Panthers, who have one of the worst defenses in the NFL and have been one of the worst teams. As long as Dow is healthy, I think that he'll have a successful week because they'll still probably give him about 10 carries, but he injured himself in practice, so we have to see what happens. He's a risky player for me this week. Then we got another guy who's been dealing with injury, and that is Alexander Mattison of the Minnesota Vikings going up against the Denver Broncos, who don't have the great defense. So I think that Mattison could run on him. Do I think that he gets a lot of opportunities? I think that Ty Chandler eats into his carries, so I really don't like him this week. Then on the other side, or right behind him, we got Ty Chandler of the Minnesota Vikings going up against the Denver Broncos. And I think Ty Chandler does outsnap Madison, so he's a risky player. But I think that if I need him, I'm in a desperate situation, I'm putting him in my lineup this week. Okay, then we got a guy coming back from injury who hasn't had the best season, but he does have some talent. But I think they run 3 running backs there, so it's up to you if you want to start him. And that is Khalil Herbert of the Chicago Bears going up against the Detroit Lions. We know the Lions have an okay defense, but Herbert does have some talent to get a couple of yards. I think that he's a risky play for me. We got Devon A-Chain coming back for the Miami Dolphins off of an injury, going against the Las Vegas Raiders, who don't really have a way to stop his type of talent. We know that he has a lot of good football tools and abilities to get to the end zone to break away. So he's a guy that I'm looking to start as a dynamic player. A guy who's on a top offense, but he has a tough matchup this week, and that is Isaiah Pacheco of the Kansas City Chiefs, going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, who are ranked the #1 defense, especially against the run. So he's a guy that I'm looking to not start this week if I don't have to. This guy right here, who's been up and down, but lately he's been very consistent, and that is Najee Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers, going up against the Cleveland Browns. We know how good the Browns are in defense, and we know that Harris is a very risky play this week, so I would be looking to start someone else in his place, at least for this week. James Cook of the Buffalo Bills going up against the New York Jets. The Jets have a good defense, but Cook did run for over 100 yards on 12 carries last week for 107. So I think that he's a guy that you could start, but, just be prepared for him to also bust this week as well. Then we got a guy who's a good running back, but plays on a team where, they don't have the best overall team right now, and that's Aaron Jones of the Green Bay Packers going up against the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't like Jones this week, but most likely you probably have to start him. Connor is a risk-reward player for me. If you have him, play him, but if you don't need to, you probably have some options. Maybe you don't, but he's a guy that's just risky for me this week. One of my wide receivers that I think is going to be really good this week is Quentin Johnson of the Los Angeles Chargers going up against the Green Bay Packers. I think that he's going to be able to, start getting on a consistent role in this offense. So he's a guy I'm looking to start. A guy that plays with Kyler Murray, and this is Michael Wilson of the Arizona Cardinals going up against the Houston Texans. I could see Wilson having a good week and a good future weeks ahead. This guy who's a sleeper pick for me, and this is Jaden Reed of the Green Bay Packers going up against the Los Angeles Chargers. They're going to have to throw the ball, and I think Reed is a big part of that offense from now until your fantasy playoffs. A guy who's been stepping up, had 173 yards last week, and this is on 10 catches, and that's Brandon Cooks of the Dallas Cowboys is finally arriving against the Carolina Panthers, who haven't been able to stop nobody. So I think that he's a good start this week. A guy who plays a tough matchup, but I think he's a guy that is going to be getting the ball from Patrick Mahomes, and that is Rashee Rice of the Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. He has enough talent to maybe get you a touchdown or, a couple of catches this week. On this team, we got so many guys you could start. And this is on the Houston Texans. We have Nico Collins going up against the Arizona Cardinals. You can start Noah Brown against the Arizona Cardinals. And you could start Tank Dell against the Arizona Cardinals. I think they're all startable players this week. So put them in your lineup if you got them. And then we got on the Arizona Cardinals, we got Hollywood Brown going up against the Houston Texans. I think Brown will get that chemistry with Murray, and they will start connecting for some big plays. So he's a guy that I'm looking to start as well. Garrett Wilson of the New York Jets going up against the Buffalo Bills. This is a tough matchup, but Wilson is a guy we can't bench. Even though he's dealing with some type of injury, he's a guy you have to put in your lineup. A guy who has the talent, but just there's too many guys to feed in this offense, and that is Calvin Ridley of the Jacksonville Jaguars going up against the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are good at stopping the run, not so good at stopping the pass, but Ridley is a guy that I'm really not looking to play, and I probably would bench. We're going to move on to the tight ends, and we got a guy coming back from an injury, and that is Pat Freiermuth of the Pittsburgh Steelers going up against the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if he's going to have a great game when he comes back, but, the tight end position being so slim, he's a guy that I would definitely look to start. Another rookie, hasn't been so consistent, but I think he's coming along, and that is Mike Mayer of the Las Vegas Raiders going up against the Miami Dolphins. We know that's going to be a game where the Dolphins are scoring, so I think Mayer has to be involved in this game. We got a superstar tight end, I think a top 3, hands down, and that is Trey McBride of the Arizona Cardinals going up against the Houston Texans. I see a big game from him this week. If you got him, you have to play him. A guy that's another rookie who's been pretty good so far this season. There's a lot of players around him. His quarterback is not that consistent, but Luke Musgrave of the Green Bay Packers is maybe a must start, especially going up against the Los Angeles Chargers where they're going to be probably scoring and airing it out. So Love will have to get the ball to Musgrave. Cole Kmet of the Chicago Bears, he's been having consistent weeks. He's a guy you could definitely put in your lineup, especially against the Detroit Lions, who are going to score points as well. So I think that he's definitely a must start this week, and he is a guy I'm putting into my lineup. Tyler Conklin of the New York Jets going up against the Buffalo Bills. I think Wilson's going to have to get the ball to him. I'm not excited about playing him, but if I need him and I'm hurting at tight end, he's a guy that you could plug and play this week. The defense this week is the Detroit Lions going up against the Chicago Bears. We don't know how Fields will play this week, so I think the Lions are a good start, but just, pump the brakes. We don't know exactly if Fields is going to come out on fire or he's going to come out a little bit slow. So the Lions are a defense that I might start this week. And then we got the Miami Dolphins going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. We know the Raiders are playing Cano as their quarterback. So they're a defense that I would definitely be looking to start this week, especially against that quarterback. The Pittsburgh Steelers going up against the Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson being out. I think the Steelers have a good game this week. Then we got the Washington Commanders going up against the New York Giants, with the Giants playing a rookie quarterback who was undrafted. I definitely like the Washington's defense in this one. They're definitely putting them in my lineup for sure. We got the Los Angeles Chargers going up against the Green Bay Packers. I don't see Love having a successful day against this defense. I see the Chargers having a big week. The last team is the New York Jets going up against the Buffalo Bills. We know the Jets have some good defensive players, a defensive-minded team, but going up against the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen is always scary. Even though Allen didn't play that great last week, they're a team that I might be looking to, hold on to, but maybe not start this week. But, well, that's it for me, guys. Thanks for listening. Good luck this week, and we'll be back next week for Week 12. Have a good one, and stay tuned. Peace.